Good day, welcome. This session I'd like to talk about heads. We've talked about proportions, building up the body, hands and feet, and now, well, the head. Now, a head is a very challenging thing to some people, and try to make it as simple as these sessions are all about. And I think the first thing we really should talk about to start with is a thing called contours. So, taking a piece of paper, contours are the outside lines, okay? Outside lines. And when we look at a head, we have many different ways in which most people will draw it, as an oval, okay? They'll draw it in a wide circle. They'll do it even sort of very strangely up and down. There are many different outlines in which the head can take, or contours. The simplest one is to think of the face or head face on, straight on, as a medieval shield. As we take a medieval shield, we have a line that comes down on either side, and then we come across here. So this kind of medieval shield, if we were to decorate it more in the medieval style, okay, we can have all kinds of stuff there. This is the basic shield. Now, this isn't the head, but this is the shape or contour, outside line, okay? Now, if I take this, and I come down, now we have our medieval shield. The top, however, well, we'll round it instead of making it flat like a medieval shield. And now we have a basic human head. This is closer to the truth than any of these three, okay? Now, the interesting thing about contours are the outside lines, okay? The outside lines, the actual shape or contour changes depending on the person we're looking at. Some people's faces will bow outwards a little bit and then come inwards to a chin like that. Other people may have a very straight down and then roundish bottom to their face. There are many different contours or outside lines in which we could actually go for. So be very careful, take careful attention to what somebody's contour looks like, because that actually helps get somebody you might be wanting to draw more accurate. There are also contours from the side view as well. And we have, this is the front view, okay? So front view for this one here. And we have side views. Now I'm going to talk a little bit later about side views and how to make them more accurate. But there are three basic contours of most people's faces from the side. And if you recognize them, it makes it simple. There's the straight contour look. And that is where a face comes down and it's pretty much straight all the way down like that. We have basically the concave one as well. So if we have a face where it comes down, goes inwards, we have the face down here, and then our chin comes back outwards a little bit. As exaggerated as this is, the feeling is though the actual face recedes or goes inwards. This side of face we might see on people like Jay Leno, Quentin Tarantino. There's many people whom that actually could apply to. There's another one called convex. This is concave. All right. This is straight. And this is convex. Now, convex is basically the face comes outwards, okay? So some people's faces start with the forehead coming down, the nose comes outwards as usual, but then as we get around to the face, the chin and everything tend to recede as well. So instead of an inside in the middle, pushing inwards in the middle, it actually bows outwards in the middle. So we have a medieval shield-like shape for a face. Contours, or the outlines or outside lines, they vary right here in different shapes like that. There are many. I mean, we have some very straight ones coming down, then they come inwards a little bit. You can even have a dip for a chin like this. When you pay close attention to this shape, the contour, you'll have a person more accurate. And in cartooning, caricatures, especially when you're drawing somebody from the side, if you can identify or look at whether it's a straight or concave or convex from the side, makes it very fast and simple. Now, contours, outside lines, that gives us a start to the shape of which to make a reasonable head. Let's go from there then to the idea of where things lie on the head. Where are the eyes? Where are the noses? Where are the mouths? Well, once again, I'm going to start a line here coming down. I'm going to do the same on this side right here. This is my medieval shield. I'm going to go up and round it around here a little bit like this. I'm leaving some breaks. All right, now, where do things lie? In an adult head, and I'll talk about children later, but adult head from the top down to the chin, okay, the very middle of this, all right, half of this is the center for the eyes. Now, your eye centers, I'm going to put, this is just illusionary here, okay, that's the middle point there. In drawing eyes, I would recommend drawing the upper curve of the upper eyelid instead of the full roundness. Many students want to go all the way around like this and create a very strong line. I'm going to suggest we try it this way, okay? Now, there is an eye space in between the two eyes. So between this eye and this eye, your center area there is actually the equivalent or the same as the same eye you have there. There is about half an eye between the outside to there. So we should have half an eye, a full eye, another eye, and then half an eye. That'll give us the spacing across there. Now, from the center of your eye down to your chin, all right, the halfway point in general is where the base of the nose is. And most people's noses are about as wide as, from nostril to nostril, about as wide as from corner eye to corner of the eye. There are many shapes to create, and many boys and girls and adults will sometimes create a shape like this, and they'll create that full outline or contour. A simpler one is to put a shadow line in there, and you could actually have it as a slight curve, or you could have it dip a little bit, depending on the type of nose we're looking at. I'm going to give it just a slight curve like this. Now, where is the mouth located? Between here and here, the halfway point, okay, we come across here, the halfway between here and the chin, that's actually not the center of the mouth. It is actually the little shadow underneath where your bottom of your lip is. If we come up the space of a lip, we will have the line in which your mouth actually is. And that gives us the actual mouth shape and shadows too. So, we're capping really quickly, going over from the top of the head to the chin. The halfway part, the middle part, is actually where the center of the eyes will be. Halfway between the eye and the chin is roughly where the nose will be. The nose is about as wide as one eye space in between. We come down to about halfway between here, and that creates the bottom lip shadow. And then we have the upper, or the actual separation of our mouth right here. It's just up the space of the lip. Now, if we look at children, one thing about them that differs is that if we come down here and create their head, the center line is actually, their eyes are not quite there yet. They're below the center line. So if you create it, not far, but you create lines of the upper eyelids below that, then put your mouth or nose and then your mouth, you'll have something more childlike. The top of the head has already grown larger at this time when they're children, usually up until we lose our baby teeth. And then by that time we lose our baby teeth, it's because this part from the eye down to the chin is expanding so that it is catching up to be even with this. Now that we have this part here, I tend to make a second line, another second line, and then I'll put the eye in here in that sense as well. Just to give you a fast and simple way of drawing it. Now, interesting that if we take a line straight down from the centers of our eyes, that is actually where the corners of our mouth will be. That's the full width of our mouth. Some people will have it look a little bit shorter, some people will have it look a little bit wider. It's actually, generally speaking, we'll put it right to there and there. Remember, this is drawing the human simple. Now, we have those elements right there, eyes, nose, and mouth, okay? Now where are the ears rather. If we start with eyebrows, and interesting, remember the word contour. Contour, once again, an important word when it comes to this. outside line, and that is what gives us the shape and feeling of somebody's face, the shape or line of that. But the interesting thing about it is people's eyebrows are different for everybody in that sense. Some come upwards and curve downwards, some are very round, some are fairly straight, and then just have a little wisp here and there. If you look at the contour of a person's eyebrow, especially the one person you might be drawing, it'll make it simple, and you'll be able to copy that. It will look more like the person you're trying to draw. The thing about the eyebrows for me right now is that's the brow line. Your ear, if we create an ear, is no higher than that eyebrow. And as we come down toward the base of it, it is no lower than the nose itself. So from about the eyebrow down to the base of the nose almost, we now have our ears. And in drawing a simple ear shape, I tend to do a little oval like that, but the inside shadow, just create a little upper eye shadow like that, and then you create a little shadow here and here, and that will give you that look of an ear from the front. Now, one last detail before any others is from the sides of your eyes, the outside side of your eyes all the way down. Okay, you would obviously not draw this as a line, but just keep that as an imaginary line. That is where your neck width will be. Some people want to make it too narrow, some people want to make it too wide. That's about where it is. Now, where do the shoulders come from? Well, as we come down here, from about the mouth down to the chin, and sometimes it changes, that space from here down to here, coming down to here, is about where your shoulder line will be. Okay? Now that helps in a lot, I hope, to getting you a little bit further. Now, there is a very fast way of drawing faces when it comes to drawing on people you might have made a picture of. If you were to take the basic shape of a face like this, find the centers, do two shadows like this, okay? Put another shadow right there for the nose, upper mouth shadow, bottom line, put a little line and a little dot here and here, and we now have a face very quickly. Once again, many people want to do one very quick, not so detailed. Shadow, these are the main shadows. The underneath eyelid does not get that much light, okay? The sides of your nose and stuff don't get that much light. You don't have the strong outside lines like this when the light is hitting you proper. The light comes down, it'll hit and cast a shadow under the upper eyelid more. It'll cast it under the nose more. It'll cast it underneath the bottom lip and there. And if you were to create an upper lip, the shadow will definitely be on the upper lip more than it is on the bottom. So coming down here, two shadows there, make a little dot here and here for the eye center, shadow right here, shadow for the mouth and there, and of course, depending on how you want the mouth to feel, you now have very quick and simple faces. So these are the basic proportions of a human head. Once you get that done, the rest is building up the hair. For those who actually want to know how to do hair, hair is basically a direction feeling. So if you have curly hair, you've got to create curly lines, okay? If you have straight hair, it's got to be fairly straight. All right? If it's wavy or if it's short, you will actually find very simply the feeling of your marks and lines. So take that in mind that it is a very simple thing to do hair, more so than anything else. And overall, it is basically a section of material on top of the head itself. And that will give you, I'll go ahead and show you this one here again, a very simple feeling in that sense too. The simple aspect you can create is those shadows like that. Those will give you the actual shadows that we normally see on a face. Now, one last little stage to talk about would be the side view. Your profile. The side view is very interesting because when we look at doing a person's face, a lot of people will create a head, stick a nose on, well, kids will, and you put a little bit lips here and there, and put the eyes straight up here, and you have something like that. This is where it becomes a bit of a problem. because it doesn't feel like it has any kind of depth to it. Now, I'm going to do the same one here, maybe a little more detail to show you what the problems we encounter. So if we have our forehead coming down here, there's usually a dip that comes in, but we tend to put eyes when we're doing this too close to the front. Second, and more importantly, the problem that I find with most students drawing is they start at the back of the nostril and then put two lips outwards like this and come down. The problem is that if we go from the front of the nose to the back of the nostril, our actual upper lip comes out in the middle. It comes out here. It doesn't come at the very back of the face. And interestingly enough, if you can create the nostril, you'll actually have the point where the front of the eye will be. Just to show you the example here, we got a forehead coming down here. I'm going to create the contour outside line. All right, I'm going to put a nostril right there. Now, here's the nostril. If we put the front of the eye right in line with that nostril, where it should be, we now have it set back as it should be. This is the dip between the forehead and the nose. Now, between here and here, about halfway, and just maybe a little bit less, is the start of our upper lip. Not at the back, but about in the middle or just behind middle there. Our nostril actually goes behind that. And we have the upper lip and bottom lip, and then we have our chin. This gives us the proper shape and also where these sit-backs are. Now, to make it even simpler for a side view, I'm going to go down to the bottom here, is I always start basically an egg shape that points downwards on this tilt like that. So creating a full head in the side, I would recommend starting with the egg shape with the big round part here, the pointier part down. This obviously is the chin, and there's the top of the head. From the back, we have our neck, front and back like that. This will give us our fast start to a full head as we go. Now, I'm going to do the same right here on this area, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to edit it a little bit here. Now, one of the things about that I just stated with this is that we come down and we create the contour of our face. Now, I always tend to do the nose, and the nose could dip. There are so many different contours of noses. All right, some dip downwards, some are ski slope-ish, some are actually just fairly straight. Those kind of contours or outside lines are important to us if we're drawing somebody we really want to draw. Now, if I create the back nostril right here, like I showed you there, from there, coming upwards, in around to where the dip is, I can put my eye recessed like that. Now, from not the back, but about the middle, I can create my upper lip. I'm going to create the bottom lip, and I'm going to create the contour of a chin that's a little different than the straight roundness that I might have here. Now, this is interesting because where the base of your nose is also where the curve, the back of your head, starts to the neck. So if you want to know where the neck comes in, it's actually not higher or lower. Just to show you, most students, when they do that, they'll have it all the way down here, and you'll have your nose and mouth, and it will look very too deep here, or it's sometimes way too high. The proper spot is in the line for the nose, to the back of the skull right there, and then you have the curve outwards. Another two little details to finish. Our jawline is on a slight angle backwards, but it's about the middle of the distance between the front and back here is right about there. That would be where the jawline is. The interesting thing about the jawline is that from the jawline back, remember, this is the eyebrow and brow. That would be then the top of the ear coming down to about the nose base. And now we have our feeling of an ear on that side. So about the middle right here, coming back on a slight angle, start the ear, no higher than the eyebrow and no lower than the nose. And now you have yourself an actual head from the side. Side view, starting with egg shape, coming to the neck, the base of the neck, and head is at the same line as the actual nose. Remember though, we're still following though from here down to the chin. The halfway mark is where the eye is, okay? Remember that it doesn't sit right at the back here for the lips. It actually, the upper lip comes in around about halfway from there. The back of the nostril, if you draw that first, gives you where the eye will be. And then you have yourself the side view of the head. So, from proportions from the front and from the side, remembering that contour lines are the outside lines, that gives us more accuracy to who we're drawing and also the shapes we're going after. Simple drawing of heads.